Testing 1, 2. We're at day 11. So, welcome back. If this is your first time here, this is where I just talk about life and all that comes with trying to improve the business and growing my companies from 0 to 100k per month in terms of revenue. And it's day 11, like I said. I remember talking about a book at one point. I have the physical here that I can show you. It's called .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. Good book, man. Good book. I'm practicing quite a bit of it and it's going all right. Where are we at in life? I feel like I'm not doing enough. It's a common feeling. It's always a feeling that I've had, and it's a feeling that many of you probably have in terms of your journeys of whether it's business or whether it's trying to change careers. I'm not sure the types of people that watch me, but even if you fall into one of those categories, like I guess today's talk is going to be on a topic of that. It's how I feel right now. And one of the things that comes to mind straight away is it's acknowledging that a lot of the things that you want to achieve, they take some time. Like, you genuinely have to be consistent and fairly patient with it. And today's one of those days where I feel like, wow, I'm not doing enough, and I really feel it. And in my head, I know that I'm not doing enough, and I could tell you why. So, for instance, I'm not doing enough lead gen related tasks, and I'm not doing enough content. That I'm not even posting enough. I knew that, like, I know right now one of the goals that I have is to get more content out, and I'm slacking. I'm actually slacking, and while it may not feel that way or it may not seem that way because I constantly post about new videos and stuff, I feel it, and I'm working on that now. So a big part of where I'm currently focused is I've got through a lot of messages that I've had over the past like month or two. To give you an idea, I have at any given time probably got like 50 messages to get back to, and it's really taxing. It's a taxing endeavor to do all of that and still try and manage everything else. And at the like a big problem that I currently face is I'm not good at staying on top of everything, and I'm aware, and it's a weakness of mine. As soon as I can get someone to start doing some like PA work for me, I will be doing that, because at the end of the day, I need my time, and my time is focusing on the things that only I can do, or the things that I can bring to the table that have great leverage. That's my priority in my position, and it's what I should be focused on. So yeah, that's what I'm working towards again. Why do I feel like I'm slacking though? So my goal at this point is get more content out. I've not been able to get 2 pieces of content out per day across all my platforms. I've been doing like one a day, and if you ask me why I've not been doing the other bits, my head's just, yeah, for some reason my head's not in it. But I feel like that's down to me context switching quite a bit, and even when I'm not context switching, I've got other stuff outside of work that I'm focusing on, and it is a ball ache. It drags sometimes, and it's fairly jarring if you ask me, because at the end of the day, like, I've got a goal that I need to hit. I need to hit to get closer to the 100k per month mark, and that's on me. So it's now Wednesday, the 18th of October, 1:37. The good thing is I've started filming a little earlier than I usually do, so that's a sign, a step in a good direction. The next bits that I need to focus on for like my career and what I'm building, I need to focus on advertisement and lead generation. I mentioned on Sunday that I'm going to be working on like improving, well, not improving, but focusing on like some parts of the website and whatnot. And a big part of that at the moment is I'm going to be putting some work in behind the scenes to create some lead magnets and also share our story of Love Circular. We don't celebrate enough of our students, and our students achieve many incredible things. And then I feel like it's my job to get more of the stories out and really bring that to light and make sure people are aware of the amazing accomplishments of Love Circular's students and graduates. So that's what I'm doing. I've gone like a lot of the heavy lifting in the early on in the week has been sorted out now. So like email campaigns gone out for the jobs board. Um, some other stuff's gone out, and I've got through quite a big chunk of admin. I paid off some of our instructors today. There's probably like a few payments outstanding, but I'm just trying to get through them, man. I'm really trying to get through them. The bank account has gone from an okay place to a precarious place, but at the end of the day, like I needed to get those weights off my shoulder and those weights off my back, and I'm happy that we're there now, because it looks, even though I may be down financially at the moment, it looks good. The horizon does look good in terms of what we can achieve and where I'm currently at. Like I'm not at zero. I'm nowhere close to zero, but I'm way closer to zero than I once was, especially like 2-3 months ago. So yeah, cheers to that. I'm drinking water today. Well, after a few glasses of red wine and some TV, of course. But yeah, that's where I'm at, man. But my point about achieving things, success. I read the book Out The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho. If some of you have read it, amazing. If you've not, it's an interesting book. First time I read it, I think I was 19. I was working at Apple still as a technician. And when I read it the first time, I got through it and I was like, this book is what, it's a piece of, I didn't have great words for it, but I feel like at the time I was less knowledgeable about life and less knowledgeable about the world and the endeavors of seeking things and going after them. And I felt like my impatience was one of the things that I couldn't appreciate, or patience as a skill wasn't something I could appreciate, and accepting that things don't go to plan and a lot more is involved in the journey than just getting from A to E. But yeah, the first time I read it, I didn't really like it, and then I must have read it at like 24, and I appreciated the book a lot more at that point. And I found that I was in a position where I've had my hardships, I've dealt with a lot of things on the path to what I could call success, and that's one of the things that made it somewhat sweet again. And I actually started appreciating the stories that were being told by the book, or in the book. If you've never read it, the general premise of the book, if I remember correctly, is there's a young boy or young man, and he's on a trip. He's from a small town in Andalusia, and he's on a trip to, I think it's the pyramids, because he thinks that's where he will amass wealth or be able to achieve something amazing and see something spectacular. He's a farmer. He doesn't come from means, and he finds himself in a position where, because he's a farmer that doesn't come from means, he has to find effective ways to essentially finance his travels and everything in between. And on the way, he meets a lot of people. He experiences things. He falls in love. He works, he gets his first full-time job working for someone. He adds value to that person's business. He also speaks to I guess, in that scenario, his boss, his mentor, his master. And he's young, he's ambitious, and he's trying to push his boss to achieve certain things. And at the time, his boss doesn't necessarily have the same level of drive or aspirations as he does. Maybe it's because he's seen a lot more and he has a bit more of a pessimistic view on life. But when you read this book, you realize, like, when you're young or when you've got that drive, that like less experience, it's a superpower, and it's it's a great unique advantage to just hustle your way to where you want to be. The first time I set Love Circular up, I feel like I was there. I felt like I had a lot of drive. I've had so much drive because I just wanted to get out of my situation. I talked about it in a previous journal entry. These days, I know what it looks like to make money. I know how to make money. I've learned the skill of making money. And there are times where I feel like I might be complacent because I'm aware of that, and I may not have the same drive. as I once did because I'm aware of what's on the other side, or aware of at least enough of what's on the other side to get to a point where it's like, okay, you don't have to rush anymore. But that, I feel like that's been a hindrance, and that is now my hindrance. It's no longer, I no longer have the same level of desire as I once did because I'm not in fight or flight mode every day. But now it's like, okay, I just get a chunk done. The only thing is, when I don't get a piece of work or a chunk of work done, I can fall into a little bit of a habit of saying, okay, you're gonna fix it because you now have the ability to think through problems way better based on your experience and the data you've collected, as opposed to just working flat out and just grinding through whatever comes and hoping that you get progress. Maybe it's maybe it's I feel like, yeah, it can be a hindrance, and it can be a blocker in the path, or on the path of obtaining some success. But I guess I wanted to talk about that bit. When I think back to all that I've amassed, so to if you're not aware, I'm 27. Outside of my full time professional jobs, I've probably made about a mil. Yeah, I've made over 1 million in terms of revenue across my main company that I work for, Love Circular, and it's a very peculiar place because I come, like, if you don't know my story, I come from a working class family, like a household that doesn't make great income per year, a single parent household, exactly. And when you're in that position and money's really difficult to come by, and you fall into a position where you no longer see money as a precious resource that's hard to come by, you see it as an exchange of value. That really can twist your head, and it's a difficult thing, especially if you come to terms with how it works as a concept and how to get it. It's you realize it's not about how hard you work, it's about where you work. Yes, hard work does pay off, but it's also like the direction that you're stream rowing your boat in, let's say, at the same time. And I feel like I've fallen to that trap sometimes now because of my experience, as mentioned. But to even get to the point where I generated that sort of revenue, and I amassed that sort of um, yeah, that sort of income from my company, the biggest things that I remember along the journey is it took so long. Now, to give you an idea, I started designing at 12 years old. By the time I was 19, I started designing more professionally and taking on clients and trying to do stuff with that. Then eventually that didn't really work out. I got a job full time, and that was cool. And then I moved over to London to try and make even more opportunities happen. And thankfully I did. Thankfully I did. And I also ended up in a position where I guess I put myself in a position where I could try something. I could try and make a big bet. And the big bet was circular. It wasn't Love Circular, it was circular. That didn't go to plan. But I spent 2 years working away at that. I don't think we ever seen a penny from that endeavor initially. But I came back to it eventually. And when I came back to it and did what I'd class as my second business, my second actual attempt at creating something, or third attempt at creating something that was tangible for people and it could be a great way of creating income and a living, it worked. But to give you an idea, I've tried so many things before then, like so many failed projects that never saw light of day, too many to count. And I feel like success is disproportionate to the amount of effort that you will put in to get there. So I probably spent 5 6 years at that point failing upwards, failing downwards in some scenarios, but just failing over and over and over again. But when something did work, it paid off quite substantially, and it made all of the previous failures so insignificant, and it just made it so much easier to bear. And you don't really think about the failures at that point. Once the momentum train's ticking and things are going in the direction that you want them to, it's so much easier to have drive, have excitement. And yeah, that's essentially how it worked. but I didn't realize that I was being as patient as I was when I was going through it. I used to go through a whirl, like I've been through a whirlwind, man. Like we're talking, I've had really low lows, I've had really high highs, and it is an emotional roller coaster to get to even your first £1,000 or first $1,000 online is it's a struggle sometimes, and it's just how it is. I feel like our students, my students that we teach, they're in a similar place when they're switching over from everything they've known for their, formative years and early adulthood to switching into a career of the unknown. That switch in itself, it takes incredible grit and belief, almost delusional, you can call it. I feel like if you have an aspect or slight bit of delusion in your dreams and your ability to make it happen, match that with enough hard work and enough drive on just a bit of wit as well, you're going to go somewhere and you will get something out of it. Whether that's money or whether that's great enough experience to open up new opportunities, you will get something out of it. And I experienced that firsthand. And that's one of the things that I think makes so much sense now, especially after mentioning all of those years of failing. Once something works, it's like, okay, you can see it and you've got the blueprint. These days, I don't actually feel like I'm scared for making something of myself in future, because I understand the formula. I understand a big part of the formula of providing value and then exchanging that for capital. But I know whenever I put my mind to something like that at this current stage of my life, it does take a little longer. Granted, I feel like I'm in a bit of a tough situation because I only have so many hours in my day, and I do have some obligations outside of work. But at the same time, like I'm I'm aware that, for instance, to get to 10K per month, in terms of what we sell, I think it's like four, four full. Oh no, we pay processing fees. So let's say five sales of our product, our bootcamp products, the cheapest bootcamp, that gets me to 10K a month. And when I break down what five sales looks like when we quantify it, it's putting it's averaging around 2 to 3 pieces of content per day for for the company channel, if we're going fully organic, and those have to be really good pieces of content or things that are very shareable. And if I add on anything with my personal brand, it becomes even better. Now, on top of that, there's also the aspect of paid ads. We never, it's something that I'm very surprised by, but I'm also like super happy that it worked that way at times. At other times I'm not. But we never spent a lot of money to acquire customers up front. We never pay, like in terms of Love Circular and paid ads, to make the million in revenue. I believe our paid ads, we probably spent about 50, no, maybe closer to £20,000 now, or 20 something $1,000. We didn't spend that much, if I'm honest. But at the same time, a lot of it was organic, and the unpredictability of organic wasn't great. But now I've got a lot more experience in terms of understanding how marketing works, understanding how to look at the picture. A big thing for us is lead generation. And now that I understand what lead generation is, I now think back, and if I were to start again, it's now a matter of how do I get to, say, 30 leads per month. If we have 30 leads per month, I'm very confident. 30 leads for, say, a bootcamp, I'm very confident around 14 will convert. So now the task is, how do we get leads? And when I think about getting leads, organic content's great when it works, but it takes so much effort to maintain that, and you are putting in a lot of effort on a daily basis to hope that your content falls on the right ears and it motivates the right types of people to inquire and trust in your thing. But these days, now I'm looking at the game a little differently. I realize I'm a one-man, team, and I've no longer got the resources that I once had. What can I do? Paid ads. Paid ads is a big thing. And creating lead magnets, creating funnels, effective funnels that get people into our ecosystem. Then we follow up with those people via email campaigns, via opportunities for calls, all of that stuff. Like, these are the things that I now think about. So when it comes to, so for instance, I mentioned this week I really want to get the email stuff sorted out. Why do I want to get the email stuff sorted out? Because I'm aware that it's a game of getting more leads now, getting more opportunities to prove our worth and prove that we can provide value to these people. So one of the things that I need to do is make sure my funnels are great. Our funnels have never really been great, and it's astonishing to know that we've amassed the success, financial success that we did without great funnels. We had a funnel, but it wasn't strong, and it wasn't something that we can throw money at and scale upwards. It was more of a input equals potential output. So like we had to put so much input into the systems to get something out from the output standpoint. And it was a funny thing to realize eventually. I only realized this after all of the staff had left the company and it's just me on my own. And I was twiddling my thumbs, just pissed off, thinking, how am I going to get myself out of this problem? You know, I've got a lot of money that I owe to the tax man that I'm working through and all these other things. How am I going to fix it? So that's where stuff like reading this book, checking out Alex Hormozi's stuff, some Sam Evans content, and some other internet gurus that have also understood internet marketing, Daniel Priestley to mention as well. And that's where I'm at now, man. I'm just working through it now, and I know what things need to be implemented, and I know that it's a slow grind at the moment because it's just me. But once these systems are in place and I'm putting traffic towards these systems, I'm very aware and cognizant that there is a upside, and with the upside, it should be disproportionate to how much effort I put in, because I get to throw money at ads. And eventually I might do stuff where we host webinars. I might do stuff where we host events. And in those events, I have even greater opportunity to pulling even more leads and hopefully provide value to these people. And yeah, if you're not a business owner, this could look very transactional, but at the same time, this is how a business works. This is what a business is there to do. It's there to prove to people that it provides value over and over and over again, and it can help them achieve something or solve their problem. For us, we solve the problem of helping people get into their next career and their potential first jobs in tech or design. And that's my job. I need to find very effective ways to do that. The great thing is there's a lot of examples out there, and I've done it before, so now I'm working through it. But it's now a matter of getting off my phone, for instance, throughout the day and doing more work or deep work and committing to that. In the past, what I've done is I've used Pomodoro timers. If you're not familiar with the Pomodoro timer technique, it's essentially setting a timer for, say, 15 to 20 minutes or however long you want to set it for, and you do work in small bursts. For that, like 20 minutes, you only focus on one task, you've got one priority, and you complete it. If you complete the task before, then great. You can take a break early and then line up the next task and then go through the next task and then do the same thing over and over and over again. But even doing something like that puts you in a very advantageous position to succeed. And it's something that I've done in the past where it came to getting the most amount of productive hours out of myself. And it's something that I guess I'm going to have to do again. One of the things that I'm very proud of myself for is just the consistency on these videos. Maybe it's because I don't have to edit them or do too much, but like it helps me. And I'm happy that I can at least do this as some sort of stepping stone for consistency in generating content that I can put out and people can see who I am. And if you like my character, great. If you don't, that's fine. I've got enough love anyway, so it's all good. But this is something that we do. And this is something that I do as a business owner. So I say all of this to flip it back to yourselves. If you're driving for something, if you're striving for something, just know, like, if you don't understand the path that you're taking, or you don't have the dot-to-dot experience to do the dot-to-dots from where you're currently at to that place that you're going to be, you will have to grind it out, and it could take a year, it could take months, it could take a decade. Who cares? As long as it's something that's interesting to you and it's something that you're passionate about and you really do want, you can usually figure it out. And there's so much content on the internet, and there are so many people who are willing to help and be a positive person in your journey, that you will find that sort of light that you're looking for, and they will come to you. And hopefully you can utilize their experience and their wisdom with your determination and make something happen between you. For us, for our students, like I mentioned, they have hunger, they have drive, and they come to us where we have the experience, and we can usher their raw talent and their raw determination with experience, and give them a skill that helps them get to where they need to go. If you're not on the journey of like changing your careers, but you're trying to do something, whether it's even like I mentioned the other day about dealing with anxiety, yeah, like you've got to have a direction. You got to want something. You got to want to be in a different state so much that you're going to put everything towards that. Granted, even if you don't put as much as you think you need on a daily basis, just turning up is a massive win. A massive win, especially on the days that you don't feel like it. It's like going to the gym. It's just a massive win. It's better to exercise than not to exercise. And even if you go and do 10 minutes of running, or like 2 bench presses, 2 reps on the bench press, at least you did it. Just that momentum in itself will help you when it comes to day 60, day 100. And I know I'm speaking a lot of this stuff from experience right now, but I also need to hear this from myself, and I need to say this out loud and have it on film, because I'm no different from anybody else in that sense. I have these battles myself, and I know how difficult it can be to embark on an uphill struggle, especially when the odds are currently stacked against you. The odds are always going to be stacked against you, by the way, if you're trying to do something new. The only thing is, the longer you stick it out, the more they become in your favor, because you understand how to maneuver. And that's all I got for day 11, man. Yeah, it's day 11. Yeah, that's all I got for day 11. It wasn't too long of a video, but I hope I added some value in this video. And again, I'm just appreciative that you lot are watching this. And if you're from the future and you follow me, then hey, man, it's beautiful. I'm curious to see how big my career how big it can get, and how many people we can impact. But I'm working on it. Yeah, I'll talk about some of the stuff that I'm working on tomorrow. But for now, this is all I've got. Please have a great day, evening, whatever. You know the vibes. Peace.